We're here at Varsity Stadium in Toronto, and this is going to be an exciting game between the Montreal Royal and the Toronto Rush. The teams are just getting warmed up a bit on the field. We've had the anthems, and we're just about ready for the first pull. So it's going to be an exciting game, that's for sure, because both these teams are both pretty pumped up for this natural rivalry game, Robin.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the last matchup of the season. Montreal wants to take it to the Rush as best they can. They've got a number of their top players here putting it together. We've got Eric Saint-Amand, who is a former player with a number of these Toronto players on the GOAT club team, and definitely he'll be someone to look out for on that field. We'll also see Yolande Cabot, who is number 33 and a very strong player in his own right, hard cutter. So we should see a lot of him on the field as well. And then as well for the Montreal team, Tim Sang, another top player, very familiar with the GOAT roster, GOAT club team that many of the Rush players come from. And we will see a lot out of him on the field. And already heard some comments from Sachin Raina regarding his skills.
These two teams know each other quite well, not only from the 3 games that they've already played this season, which have all been won by the Rush to date, but also because of the club teams that these guys play on. Some are playing on the same teams, and some are playing on rival club teams for Montreal and for Toronto. So that's GOAT in Toronto and Mephisto in Montreal, among other club teams, actually, that they play for. So lots of familiarity here. So despite the fact that this game may not play a big role in the playoff picture that's emerging in the AUDL right now, both teams are pumped up. This is a game that has a lot of pride on the line for all of these players. And despite the fact that it doesn't have a playoff impact, they are going to leave everything on the field, I'm pretty sure. I don't think anyone's letting up on anyone for this match.
Yeah, no, they may know each other well enough to consider themselves friends, but on the field they're going to play hard, make the other team work hard, and the Rush will not let up, and so Montreal is going to have to bring their A game.
We've got the Rush taking the field right now, and why don't we take a look at the starting lineup here, Robin, for the Rush.
Well, I see that we have Mark Lloyd, number 89, out there, and Mark is the leader of this team, both on the field and in the locker room. Very strong, and as we see him talking right now to get them pumped up and decide how they want to play this opening point. Also out there, I see Cam Harris. We'll see a lot out of him, and we see Cam Harris is number 91, and then Jeff Lindquist as well, number 20, are players we're going to see a lot of during this game.
Taking the field for the Royal, and we're just about to get going. We got a Jean-Lévis Champagne, who is the leader of the team in a number of ways. Mathieu Bordelot, number 5.
This is Germain Boucher,
and
number 72.
And they're ready to get going here. Montreal will be pulling to Toronto to start the game. So Toronto starting on offense, and we're just getting going right here. Here's the first pull.
And they are pulling upwind. There's a fairly strong wind going downfield from the Rush. So they'll be throwing downwind right now, and that will make a factor on how they play this.
Adrian Yearwood with the disc right now. Looking downfield. Mark Lloyd now with the disc and looking downfield. Not too much happening. Looking for a dump here, and looks like a turnover. So Montreal's got a short field to work the other way.
I think that was Thompson McKnight slipped on the field. The field surface is a little slippery. There's no rain, but the artificial turf does tend to get a little slippery.
And we've got a hammer going up into the end zone. Caught for the first point by number 17, Antoine Genet.
Well, so we have Montreal first on the board, and that is a break point, which is always a great way to start a game. You pull the disc to the other team, they turn it over, and you score a point.
Uncharacteristic mistake early in the game from the Toronto Rush that Montreal quickly capitalizes on with a short field, 2 passes and in the end zone.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it was partly a mistake, but it was also partly a slip. and the player lost his footing, and by then the disc had been released.
And we're going to see a bit of that, as you said, Robin, throughout this game. This field, we were down there earlier, is not the best in terms of traction right now. So everybody's going to have to deal with that. There's no magic to this. Montreal pulling to Toronto. Toronto now going upwind. Centers the disc to number 43, Gord Harrison. And another turnover early. Again, Montreal's a short field.
Yeah, Montreal's careful there. They had a guy busting for the end zone, but they
another hammer to the end zone here, and it's caught for a point. That's Jean-Lévis Champagne who catches that hammer in the back corner for a point. That's 2-0 for Montreal.
You know, this is somewhat characteristic of the Rush. They tend to start a little slow. They're not happy, I'm sure, to be down 2 already, but that tends to be not unusual for this team. We'll see them bring it all back together soon.
They're making it easy for Montreal right now, to tell you the truth, though, because Montreal has had a little more than a 20-yard field each time to score.
Yep.
And in both cases, 2 passes, including a hammer, and they've had easy catches in the end zone for those 2 points. So it's a bit of a wake-up time here. We got to get going. This Toronto Rush team is going to have to wake up and start to play better right away. The pull goes up to Toronto. Sachin Reyna catches the pull and centers to number 19.
That's Thompson McKnight. We got Mark Lloyd busting deep. They're covering him very tightly, and we have yet another turnover.
Tim Sang with the disc looking downfield for Montreal. And they've got a fast break going down this way. Upwind again. Back to the middle. Jerome Boucher with the hammer to the end zone and caught.
And a spike at the end. I think Montreal is starting exactly as they'd hoped they would, and I think that's 3 upside down throws for scores.
2 of which to Jean-Lévis Champagne. So momentum right now is in favor of Montreal early in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. We have not yet seen a timeout call from the Rush coaches, but I have a feeling if the next point does not turn out the way they wanted to, that we may see that happening.
It's a confident squad in Toronto, but their confidence right now might be wavering a bit. Ready for the pull again. That's Montreal pulling downwind to the Toronto offense.
We'll look for Anatolia Vasilyev. You can see his head shining there in the middle of the field.
It's centered to Tolley there.
Yeah. We'll see him anchor this offense.
Moving right up the middle to Lindquist right now. Tolley looking for that short Candler cut, and Lindquist gets it to him. Tolley looking downfield, pushes something through. Oh, and he gets bailed out.
Yeah, that was a good safety catch there from Jarrett Marin, and then he takes it in for the score.
Jarrett Marin for the point.
That was really another turnover possibility there for the Rush, just thanks to the athleticism of Jarrett Marin to bring that down.
They were able to push it through the middle, and great work by him on a number of fronts. The catch and the move after that to get to the end zone quickly. So they're getting the spark that they need, perhaps, to bring this game back into range. 3-1 right now.
Yes, and now they're in a position where they're pulling the disc downwind. Look for them to put it deep into the end zone and put a strong D on, and make Montreal have to work this up the field against the wind.
This is the first D line that they put on.
That's right. We can look for
Mark Lloyd pulling the disc. This D line for Toronto making the run down to cover. Montreal fields the pull in the end zone and works it up through the middle of the end zone.
Excellent defense there. That is from Cam Harris.
And short field now to work with. Looks to the middle. Mark Lloyd with a toe in the end zone for that catch.
As predicted, the Rush doesn't take long to bounce back from an early slouch start.
And I think they like putting that D line on. And I think they are able to be successful at that, get a turnover in a very short field and strike quickly in response.
Yeah, here we go. You can see Cam Harris lay out for that disc. He stretches
Incredible D.
And then very chilly, looking for a wide open Mark Lloyd into the end zone.
Hard D is going to get you that easy offense, and that's what's happened. It's what happened for Montreal for the first 2 points, and now that's swinging in Toronto's favor right now. So that's Toronto to pull down 3-2 to the Montreal Royal right now here at Varsity Stadium. And the pull goes up. Nicolas Brochu starts with the disc, moves it up the field. They send her back to Nicolas. He's looking deep right away, right here. And running it down.
Just overthrows Yolan Cabot.
Yolan. An excellent effort, but disc was just a bit overthrown for Yolan, who, despite the fact that we've heard he is the fast guy on the team, couldn't catch up to that.
Yeah, it was just a little out of his reach, and but you know, I don't think they have any complaints. That was exactly how they wanted to run that play, and he you know, was very close to completing that.
Toronto gets the turnover that they want here on defense, and now they're working on offense. Full field, right from their own end zone line. Late in the count, disc goes up, and there's a turnover on a tough throw and a tough catch opportunity. So this is Montreal back with the disc, working with a short field. Inside out, oh, and caught.
Yeah, Lindquist seemed to go right through his hands.
By Yolan Cabot, despite the fact that he missed that earlier one, Robin. He's in the right place at the right time with a quick turnover and gets an easy catch right there in the end zone for that point.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you can see the replay here. I'm surprised. Looks like Jeff Lindquist had a good play on that disc, but they managed to get it by him. Maybe he had not judged the pace of that throw. And Yolan is quite happy to score that this time round.
Montreal goes up 4-2 in this game and will be pulling to the Toronto offense.
The Rush offense is still looking very sloppy. That turnover once again seemed to get caught up maybe a little bit in the wind. It floated, it went up in the air, and they just could not complete it.
And they were very high in the count. It's a silent count in the AUDL, and you could tell that he wanted to get that away. He could feel that he was getting high up in the count. Sachin Reyna starting with the disc for Toronto. Centers to Adrian Yearwood. Adrian Yearwood looking across downfield to Mark Lloyd with a very acrobatic catch. Pushes it again downfield. Centers the disc. And we're looking a little deeper right now. Mark Lloyd again to the end zone on the away side. Catches it 4 points.
We have Cam Harris to Mark Lloyd. They've connected innumerable times on many teams, and it's a pretty safe throw when you can put it up in the air there for Mark to chase down.
It's a give and go here. And Mark Lloyd makes a good catch on a wide open side for them to play offense on.
No
Put a
mark.
Great throw up.
Yeah, there was no mark whatsoever on Cam Harris at that point, so he could put it where he wanted, and gave lots of space for Mark Lloyd to run into that.
Toronto gets to put their D-line back on. And they're down right now still, 3-4. We're at the 8:24 point right here in the first quarter of this game.
We should point out that it's quite hot at field level as well. So the players are dealing with the wind. They're also dealing with the heat. So that will play a factor as this game gets long.
Montreal with the disc. Looking downfield, got three handlers back. Looking to reset. Having a hard time. High in the count. You have a throw go up. And it's going to work for them. It's going to Gus Castano.
Looks like he's called out of bounds on the sideline there.
Called out of bounds, so Toronto gets the turnover they're looking for. Partly of their own accord, partly of just the time. He was high in the count and threw up something there, trying to get something to go.
Yeah, he was high in the count because they were marking very, very well on all players downfield.
That's true, Robin. Toronto with the disc, looking to reset, going laterally across. Uncharacteristic mistake right there, Robin.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate drop as well for the Rush.
Andy Kubanek doesn't usually do that. Montreal working downfield. Got an open player in the end zone, striking and catches for a point. Stretching the lead. That's 5-3 for Montreal. Caught right there by Chuck Cantone.
Chuck seemed to break away there without any coverage. So there seemed to be some confusion as to who was taking the deep guy.
I don't think the defensive coverage got organized on that turnover.
Remy is chasing hard to pull that in, but he cannot catch up, even Remy.
It's 5-3 for Montreal here in the first quarter of this game. And Montreal will be pulling here to Toronto. And Toronto will be heading downwind for this point. So, again, looking for a bit more performance from this offense to get organized and to get a little bit more stable with their play.
Yeah, a little less sloppy. I mean, again, that was a turnover that should not have happened. It was just a straight drop.
Rush looking downfield right away. Advancing the disc to about midfield. Cam Harris dumps to Adrian Yearwood, and again, we're looking downfield. Mark Lloyd striking. Oh, the disc goes up, but it's blocked early on in its flight. That's a Montreal turnover. Montreal gets the disc going downfield, looking at a good double team here between Adrian Yearwood and Mark Lloyd, but they get the disc out to the away side of the field. Montreal's working downfield. There's good coverage from Toronto. They've got patient offense happening, swinging back and forth. Montreal working from about midfield, looking deep, gets a downfield breakthrough. And there's a call on the field. Disc is going back on that most recent throw. And it's a 10-yard penalty. They're moving back. Montreal maintains possession but starts working down the field, a little bit of a longer field now. They're very content right now to make little short handler passes and maintain possession. They go wide on the field, but they're unable to maintain possession. That's a throwaway.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that
Cam
they do
Harris
that.
picks up the disc and looking downfield right away. And in the end zone, Mark Lloyd is hovering, but they push it through to Thompson McKnight for the score on the open side.
And this that just goes to prove the point that you cannot make a mistake against this Rush team. The Montreal was playing excellently, very patient offense there, and they stretched one pass a little too much.
And Toronto takes advantage, going quickly to the end zone to score and bring the score right now to 5-4. So this is a tight game. These guys are trading points right now, and they're keeping it within 2.
Yeah, it's a great game for the fans. We're seeing Toronto Rush challenged on every play. We're seeing them have to get their skills at the level that they should be at, and we're seeing some excellent patience out of Montreal and some great speed.
What's making the difference right now, though, is those unforced errors that are occurring on both sides of the field. Both teams with uncharacteristic unforced errors. Toronto pulls to Montreal, and that's Gus looking downfield for Montreal. Advances the disc to Cabot, and he moves back to the center of the field. Again, patient offense coming from Montreal. No strike deep yet. They're happy to make handler cuts, to make short passes.
Great athletic catch.
Incredible catch by Gustavo. And works to the open side. Miscue there.
Yeah, that's too bad. After that excellent athletic catch to not come down with that wide open end zone throw.
Chuck Cantone with that unforced error. I think he could have had that one.
Oh yeah, I think he didn't need to jump up. He could have just chased it down.
Toronto working down the sideline. An unforced throwaway there. There's a call on the field, and we're bringing the disc back to the sideline, but it is Montreal's disc. Working down from about midfield on the sideline.
Just a discussion about where they have to establish their pivot foot, where they need to start this play.
I believe that is a travel call that pushed him back. Montreal working from a little deeper in the field, down the sideline. Works back to the middle a bit to and centers.
It's good work by Montreal to pull it off of that sideline and stretch it to the other field. Now they have the wide open field to work with.
And they're able to run their offense off that down the far sideline. Works to the middle, very short field here, and an easy throw in there for another Montreal point.
Yeah, now we've seen Yolan Cabot bring in another. The Montreal offense had hesitated on an earlier cut from him, and it's great to see the patience. They're going to make sure they have a 100% throw.
They get the turnovers. It seems they're able to capitalize on offense. And those were really short passes, all on the inside that they're able to get through. And in the end zone, it may have been the break side, but in the end zone, Yolan is almost completely uncovered as he catches that disc.
That's right. You know, he needs a speedster, so he just has to fake a cut one way. Their rush defense is going to take him seriously.
We've got Montreal up 6-4 in the first quarter, pulling to Toronto, and the pull goes up. Toronto offense getting organized, starting off with Sachin Reina. From the center of the field, working through. Cam Harris with the disc, centers back to the middle of the field. Looking at the three handlers, working up to midfield, including Sachin Reina, Cam Harris, and now they work to Eamon Pinto. Back to the middle to Mark Lloyd. They're getting some pretty open throws and open looks here. Mark Lloyd to the end zone. Great catch by him. That's a point for Toronto.
Yeah, that was a very patient working of the field. We used to call that boring ultimate, and boring ultimate scores points. They made sure every pass was bang on.
Boring ultimate works it down the line. Boring ultimate scores a point.
You got it.
Boring ultimate gets the defense back on the field.
You got it. Here we see them.
And that's just hard work down the sideline. A great catch, and then hard work for Mark Lloyd to make that cut, to continue the play and continue that momentum down the sideline where they were getting open cuts. And a lot of players on Montreal or on other teams have a hard time keeping up with Mark Lloyd.
Yeah, and one thing that viewers who are familiar with the game of Ultimate, but perhaps not the professional game, what they may not realize is the difference that the larger field dimensions make in the AUDL. We're dealing with 10 yards longer and 13 yards wider. That opens up lanes, it opens up a lot of space, and it makes it that much harder to play defense.
Montreal back with the disc after the Toronto pull, working downfield, high in the count. Disc goes up deep. That's Jeff Lindquist playing defense and is successful against Chuck Cantone. That's a turnover in Toronto's favor. They're working from their own goal line, back on the upwind direction.
Yeah, Montreal just got a little excited with that.
And again, great defense puts them high in the count, Robin.
Yeah, absolutely. The downfield defense forces those throws.
Toronto Rush working downfield to about midfield, and then Toley's got the disc and is looking to coordinate this offense. He's double teamed, but gets the disc out. Back to Toley to quarterback this offense. Lindquist going wide.
Andy Kubanet not going to miss that one. This time now he pulled it in.
Back to Lindquist and through the middle. Oh, and that's a drop.
Jonathan Martin.
Again, uncharacteristic drop from Toronto, an unforced error. Montreal with possession takes a timeout. It's 6-5 for Montreal right now. This is an important turnover and a great opportunity for them, and I think they want to have a chat.
I think it's a very smart timeout call because, first of all, they're going to be tired. It's hot out there. They want to see if they can keep this 2-point lead and then just sort of chat through how best to do that.
This is an incredible opportunity for them to maintain that 2-point lead. And really, again, an uncharacteristic, unforced error that we saw from Toronto. I've been playing this game for a long time. That was catchable.
Oh, it's absolutely catchable, and I know Jonathan Martin, and he catches those 99 times out of 100. usually when they're way above his head. So I think that, it's a bit of a quick pass, and these mistakes sometimes happen. I don't know if it's nerves or if it's just rust. But I'm sure that the Rush is having a discussion in their huddle about getting that cleaned up.
I'm going to presume it's mental right now because at this stage of the game in the first quarter, I don't think we should be seeing any fatigue playing a factor here. And strong footing there. It wasn't as though his feet slipped out from under him, Robin. He had strong footing, so had every opportunity to catch that disc. The timeout also gives Montreal an opportunity to make substitutions, and so perhaps they can get the right lineup that they want out there to capitalize on this opportunity. They're stacking vertical looking downfield, and I believe that's Tim Sang with the disc, ready to start this Montreal offense.
Yeah, we've gone old school, vertical stack, set up for the deep strike.
And the deep strike goes up, and he's got space to work for this, and it's caught. St. Jean works to the end zone, and that's a point for Montreal.
Well, that was a set play. That was exactly what they wanted to do. They obviously figured that the matchup was going to be in their favor.
As Sean St. Jean threw for that point and made that incredible catch going deep. Set play. The timeout was well worth it. It's a great catch.
A great effort by the Rush player.
And good patience to look for the open throw to the end zone, and makes a solid throw there to Daig.
Well, I'm impressed by what I'm seeing from the Montreal Royal today. They're playing tough.
Pride's on the line, Robin. That's what we said. Pride's on the line. They're playing like it. They're maintaining this 2-point lead, and they're pulling right now to Toronto.
I'm sure they'd love to be the ones to mar up that undefeated record of the Rush.
I think they take great pride in being the spoiler. That's Toronto working downfield, looking to reset to the middle. Open throw down through the middle and back out to the home sidelines, Cam Harris. Cam Harris, another slip right there. Liam Bradford tried to cut back and catch that one behind him, but slipped, so that's a turnover. Montreal working now on offense after that turn, down the home sideline. High in the count, throws up a hammer, crack across the middle of the field on a prayer. And that's a turnover to Toronto. Sachin Reyna picking up the disc at midfield to start this offense, restart this offense for Toronto. Gets a good gainer right away down the line. Now we're looking to reset. But there's a turnover there. Adrian Yearwood can't get to that disc, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, that just it bounced. It caught the air currents a little bit.
We talked about it earlier that they do have to be conscious of what this wind is when they're throwing across the field or downfield right now. It picks it up in ways that they don't expect it.
Yeah, it because of the buildings, there's sort of currents that are more than 8 feet above the players that are different than what they're feeling at their own eye level.
Good patient offense again from Montreal. They're able to work quickly downfield here though.
And Mathieu Bourdelot.
Mathieu Bourdelot. Good reset and then through. That's a point for Montreal. Again, the patient offense pays off. A couple of gainers to get downfield, but really just short passes really paid off for them to go down and score that.
Yeah, and then, the other thing is that they're not having to work that hard with these quick turnovers. Here we see the score. There's not a lot of, hard cutting necessary at this early stage in the game for Montreal. That's going to help them as the game gets longer. We know that the Rush have a deep roster. That is always a challenge, and one of the reasons why they tend to pull away from teams in the last quarter. But if Montreal can make it, get these easy points early, they will. They'll have some legs left.
It's another point on the scoreboard and on the tally sheet for Jean-Lévis Champagne. Montreal set to pull, going downwind to the Toronto Rush. And they send her the disc right away to Anatoly. He works through the middle to Jeff Lindquist.
Looking deep.
Looking deep, but they've got three handlers and they're ready. They're willing to work. They're running a bit of a three-man weave.
Yeah, you can see Jarrett Marin is obviously one of the designated in the handler weave.
Patient offense, a couple of deep strikes, but they're not going there yet. They're working to midfield right now with short passes. Toronto quite happy to work it back across the width of the field. Anatoli with the disc looking downfield, but again works across to the open man. Within about 15 yards of the end zone right now. The throw goes up.
Well, there we go. Perfect offense until just got a little too excited about trying to push one in.
Sometimes you get down to that short field, it gets a little crowded in there.
Yeah, there was not a lot of space along that sideline to put that throw.
Montreal's able to get a hand on that and force a turnover. We've come to the end of the first quarter here in Toronto. That's 8-5 at the end of the first quarter for Montreal. And this is the biggest lead they've had, right? 3 points. They came out right away at the beginning, 3-0. Toronto's been able to pull it close, but at the end of the first quarter, Montreal is able to stretch it back out again to 3 points, and it's by no means a comfortable lead against this Toronto team, but that is an incredible effort for this Montreal team coming into Toronto today, Robin.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they'd rather be 3 up than 3 down, and what the other point that I made earlier, I think still applies, and that is that I don't think they're been tested in terms of fitness that much yet. That last point perhaps was the first time where we saw Rush stretch the field and make them run. That ISO weave on the handlers forced a number of the Montreal players to have to do some work out there. And then as the clock ticked down, they had to try and push it in.
So let's throw it to Raheel now. We've got an interview with Tim Sang down on the field.
Hey guys, Raheel here. I've got Tim Sang with Montreal Royal with me. Tim, great first quarter.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a very highly competitive quarter. We're lucky to be up 3 right now.
What are you guys doing to try and take over the game?
We're just trying to come up with a lot of intensity and a lot of pressure. It's our last game, and I think our back are against the wall, and there's nothing like a Toronto-Montreal rivalry. So I think that adds a little fuel to the fire.
30 straight wins for the Toronto Rush. You're hoping to make it 30-1?
Yeah, definitely. Like the whole league's up against them right now. So if we take them down today, that would definitely put a cherry on top of our season.
What are you guys trying to do in the second half and through the rest of the game?
Well, we're just trying to play a complete game. Throughout the season, we've had a little difficulty in the second half and the fourth quarter. So we're just taking it quarter by quarter right now and taking it point by point. You know, trying to bring our all every single point and put pressure against them, and trying to together have a complete game like that.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Raheel. And Tim Sang is a guy who knows that this is the end of the Montreal season. They've got nothing to lose. Why not leave it all on the field? And Tim Sang is a guy who knows a lot of these Toronto players and and wants to win this for pride, wants to win this to be the spoiler, wants to be able to call these guys later and say, sorry about spoiling your undefeated record, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys know each other well enough that they'd have some fun with those digs. The other notable point there during the interview with Raheel was that Tim was still trying to catch his breath. He is working hard out there, and he would be a designated coverage on the top handler for the Rush, whoever's out there at that time. And certainly he got some tuckered on that last.
That's right, and again it is hot out there. So we're ready to get the second quarter started. That's the Toronto Rush pulling to Montreal. Montreal will start with their offense, going downwind. Gustavo Quintano works the disc over to the far side. They're able to keep it going down that far side. And then send her back. Montreal's looking very confident in this offense, working through the middle. They have a strike going deep, but they cut off that cut. Looking again for the short step, looking to reset.
Well, this great defense from the Rush right now, forcing some, well, in this instance, a very difficult pass.
To Eric Saint-Amand in the end zone, and that's not caught. But I think we have a call on the field, Robin.
Yeah, I think that there was a pass interference there, call against Jonathan Martin.
Pass interference call, so Eric Saint-Amand takes the disc from that goal line, working directly into the end zone. And Montreal has a vertical stack set up. Goes break side with the left hand and scores. let's go down to Rahil and see if Toronto wants to make some adjustments.
Playing good D, but we're better than this, to be honest.
What can you do to change for the second half and the rest of the game?
For the second half, definitely need to increase our intensity, making smarter throws, sharper throws. We've been just throwing a lot of swill. It's pretty windy out, but still, it's just Christmas of the game. Like, we're just slacking, and that needs to happen.
Sounds good. You're injured. Will you be back for the playoffs?
Yeah, I'm just taking it easy. I also have Chesapeake next weekend, so I'm just resting my knee. Not too serious, so I should be back for playoffs.
Perfect. Let's hope the Rush can go 31-0.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Rahil, for that. We've got Toronto working on offense, going to the end zone, and that's caught by number 6, Liam Bradford, from Mark Lloyd. Toronto can pull back into this. It's 9-6 right now for Montreal.
Yeah, you could hear the frustration in Carlos O's voice there. They're just not happy with how the team's playing right now. Kind of what we've already discussed, that they really want to clean this rustiness out. I'm sure that if not by this quarter, by halftime, they will talk about that more.
The guys on the field are running. I mean, they're playing hard, but you can tell that the motivation, I think, for both of these teams, it's really about the rivalry and not so much about the playoff picture. And maybe that's playing into people's heads a little bit. Maybe Toronto wants to save themselves, avoid injury going into the playoffs, and they know that they're locked in that position.
They have a few strong players on the sidelines, but they've got a very strong roster, playing today as well. So, they're gonna. I just think it's a lot of mistakes are gacks. They're errors that aren't based on a strong defense. They're based on just mistakes, where very catchable discs. Montreal, though, very patient and working it down the field.
Eric Saint-Amand scoring that point in the end zone for Montreal. Montreal goes up 10-6. Their biggest lead of the game so far. And again, the patient offense of Montreal is paying off. They are getting these short passes up through the middle to receivers running away, and then they are getting open looks in the end zone.
Yeah, and they're just not able to contain the deep cutters very well at this stage. And we see Eric Wiley cutter just twist around there, break to the opposite side. Easy reception.
That's Eric Saint-Amand for Montreal with another strong offensive point.
Eric, while being in Montreal, played with the Toronto GOAT team a number of years ago, was a very strong player in their run in the US or UPA championships, where they finished in the semifinals.
Toronto Rush offense working from near their own end zone right now. Going downwind, very, very comfortable making short passes. It's Adrian Yearwood, Cam Harris, and Sachin Arena, 3 handlers against 4 defenders, playing a bit of a junk or a bit of a zone defense for Montreal. So Montreal is trying to mix up their defensive set a little bit, perhaps again to regain that advantage and to keep the Toronto offense on their heels as they've been for most of this game, Robin.
Yeah, and they've just reset now to a man-on-man, but for a while there, as you say, they had a zone play with a full wall set up.
Toronto works out of it and then strikes deep to Mark Lloyd, who comes down with an incredible acrobatic catch, getting up so high in the air. Easy pass to an open Adrian Yearwood for the point.
Well, that had everything. That had excellent defensive strategy from Montreal, which did contain the Rush for a period of time. When they went to man, we see what the Toronto Rush are capable of.
I don't think that there's a man defense that they are afraid of right now, and they're able to work against it. And again, as you mentioned, Robin, exhibited great patience to get through that different look from Montreal. And then an incredible catch from Mark Lloyd. Gets up very high and is patient enough to wait for the open Adrian Yearwood to make it downfield for a very easy catch in the end zone for that point. Toronto Rush pull it in to within 3. That's 10-7. Montreal over Toronto right now in the second period of this game.
You know, that was great hustle. We're seeing Adrian Yearwood on the bench. It was great hustle by Adrian, actually, to chase down that disc. You know, he sprinted downfield for that, which demonstrates to me how hard the Rush want to catch back up in this game.
Yep, he's a handler, and he's also catching points, so he's doing the whole field end-to-end. Gustavo Cantano with the disc for Montreal, working downfield now as Montreal start off with their offense here.
Now, Montreal just needs to be patient at this stage and just keep pace with the Rush, which they're quite capable of. They've shown they're quite capable of doing.
Cabot with the disc. He throws deep. Oh, to Gus Castano, and unable to come down with that disc. That's a turnover to Toronto. Toronto working from the sideline and in their own end zone. They've got the whole field in front of them for their offense here.
Well,
from the cone, downfield, makes a throw. It's caught down the line. Contested, they send her back to Anatoly Vasiliev. And Tolley comes across to Lindquist in the center of the field. Lindquist over to Janamarin. Back to Lindquist in the middle, and he's looking downfield. Doesn't like what he sees, though. He's going to dump. And again, an unforced error. That dump is dropped, and we're looking, Montreal looking downfield. Got a very short field to work with. They've got about 15 yards outside of the Toronto end zone. Their work back to the middle to Eric Saint-Amand, back across to Gus. They want to reset. They go back to the middle. Very patient offense again. They know how important this point is after getting that turnover. They work to the break side. And Wiley cuts, did you say, Robin? That's Eric Saint-Amand for another point for Montreal.
There was a Wiley cut and then also a Wiley throw. We saw Eric Dion have a wonderful break force throw to just set up that, there we go, to set that up to Felix Antoine Daigle. And by then, Eric Saint-Amand is wide open.
Wide open on the offside, so they're able to put up that quick high-release throw, and that's an uncontested catch for Eric in the end zone, and that puts the Montreal Royal up 11-7 here about midway through the second quarter.
Entertaining game for the fans. We have a good number of fans here today who came to see this matchup knowing the rivalry. You know, many of the fans here play Ultimate. They play against Montreal, or they're coming in here from Montreal. They know the rivalry. They know what this means to both teams.
Toronto Rush offense looking downfield. They've got two handlers back. They work wide on the field to Cam Harris. Cam Harris up to Adrian Yearwood looking downfield for Mark Lloyd. Back to the middle, willing to center it. Mark Lloyd working with the handlers and over to Sachin Rain in the middle of the field, looking to reset. There's a call on the field, and that's a turnover. Montreal gets the disc and puts it up right away through the confusion around that call. But Sachin Rain gets back on defense and with a great high defensive play, gets that disc back for Toronto.
Toronto may have thought they had a good matchup downfield and decided to punt that disc, but it just was put into the wind. We have a discussion amongst the referees here.
I'd like to know what that call was that created that turnover.
Well, here we see the replay.
That looked like great D from Sachin Raina.
Yeah, it did. It may have gone through his man a little bit, but no, I think that was great D, and clearly it was. The Toronto Rush has the disc.
So that stands. Toronto Rush working from their own end zone line, the full field. Resets to Sachin Raina, working from his own end zone at this point. Oh, that's an uncharacteristic turnover again in the end zone for Toronto. Montreal will be working from the center of the front of the end zone. One pass, and it's taken away by Toronto. Again, the defensive heroics keeping them in this. They're working downfield. A couple quick passes, but then there's a turnover around midfield. Adrian Yearwood's unable to get to that. That was a tough throw for him to deal with. Montreal works back very quickly, but there is a call on the field. and we've stopped play. Mark Lloyd limping a little bit, and he's heading to the sideline.
I didn't see what happened there, but I'm assuming he had to adjust, shift his weight, cutting back on that turnover.
As a result of that injury, Jeff Lindquist in for Mark Lloyd. And on the Montreal side, Tim Sang in on the substitution for Montreal. So it's Montreal's disc working from about 20 yards outside of the end zone. Very comfortable to dump back to Tim Sang again to quarterback this offense. Tim Sang works forward, but that throws too high. In this wind, that throws way too high.
Yep, there's a gap between the buildings there. Oh, here we have Jeff Lindquist.
Great throw and a great run for Jeff Lindquist to get to that disc. No mark on him. He's looking to the end zone. Got lots of options, but he's looking to dump right now. Nope, forward into the end zone. A bobble and a drop.
It's a comedy of errors right now, and that's, once again, a surprise to see these sorts of drops. But these are sure catches.
A timeout is called by Montreal. They got the disc. They've got the entire field to work, but they want to talk about this to get reset. There's been a lot of drops and a lot of heroic defensive saves for this point to continue on. But Toronto's got to be shaking their head about that now.
They have to be shaking their head. And Montreal, they need for Toronto to have a bit of an off game, and Toronto is having such a game. Here we're seeing Jeff Lindquist chase that down. Excellent running for him. And this is a straightforward pass. It's just gagged.
Right into the hands and dropped. So I think we've been trying to keep track. But I think we need a statistician up here, Robin, to keep track of unforced errors. And they're probably going to need more than just one or two hands.
Yeah,
they're going to need a spreadsheet.
Yeah, the numbers are up there. And so it's important for well, here we have the huddle here. We've got Dime talking to his team.
They've got to shake this up right now. They've got to get back on.
I can tell you, Dime, Evan Phillips, the coach of the Rush, is going to have nothing but bad things to say right now. It wants to motivate them.
And the Montreal team, Mike wants to talk to them. Mike wants to get those guys excited again, and they should be. They're up 11-7 here in the second period. Montreal working from their own end zone line, dumping back, working from their own end zone. That's a full field. Gus Castano's got the disc, and he's controlling this offense for Montreal. Works downfield again, the short passes, but they're working. Daig on the sideline works down the line back to Gus. Gus Castano looking deep on the offside, but he's got two defenders for the Rush there. But who comes away with it? It's Montreal. It's an incredible catch in traffic there for Nicolas Vanasse.
That was a fantastic concentration catch because we've got two defenders that he's dealing with right now.
And that wind is playing with the disc, and he sees it through right to the end, makes that catch. Misread by the two Toronto defenders that were down there in position, but misread, mistimed, and where Montreal's able to stay with that. They go up now by 5 points. That's 12-7 with 5:27 left in this half right now, Robin.
Yeah, that's starting to be a notable lead here, and Montreal, they need to continue to practice a patient offense. They know that if they keep the disc out of the hands of Rush, they're going to score their points. It seems corny, but in fact, that is what they need to do. They need to play patiently. Put their D-line out here now, do the best they can, but what Rush needs to do is just make sure they are playing careful, chilly passes, and looking at that disc go into their hands.
Toronto Rush offense especially needs to regain their confidence here. It's a contact call against Eric Saint-Amand on the Montreal Royal. Advances the disc for Toronto. Disc gets centered back to Sachin Raina, handling for the Toronto Rush. Very happy to make these handler cuts among the three of them. But a deep throw does go up. Eamon Pinto with the big catch in the end zone.
And an even bigger spike.
Hey, they need whatever they can get to get this offense back on track. That's going to help from a motivation perspective. That's going to help with the momentum. If it takes a couple of spikes, they're willing to do it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great throw. Gives him lots of space to work, and he works hard for that.
Well, as a second effort, it was a tough disc to track over his shoulder. Look at that, breaking away from him. He sticks with it.
And incredible to stay with that. Mark Lloyd, who did come off with an injury sub earlier in this quarter, we see him now coming back onto the field for the Toronto Rush. We'll see how many minutes he plays. I'm not sure how serious that injury was. He looks comfortable. We'll see what happens when he gets back onto the field.
I think he got some work on the sidelines there as well to help him out.
Montreal with the disc working their offense from about midfield right now. Patiently working back to the middle, laterally across the field. Looks up through the middle, but there's nothing there. Looking to reset to, again, Gustavo Castano. Again, miscue on Montreal's part. That's a drop. Gives Toronto the disc in their own end. There's a call on the field.
Timeout called.
Timeout called by the Toronto Rush. If they're going to mount a comeback, Robin, with 4:16 left in this first half, down 4 points, that's 12-8 in favor of Montreal right now. I guess it's got to start right now.
Yeah, I think Evan just wants to have a chat and say, look, it's 1 point at a time. But they just need to refocus on what works for them, just make sure their heads are fully into this game. We know that Montreal's are. Montreal is contesting everything, and then when they have the disc in their hands, for the most part, they are very careful with what they put it.
Montreal appears to be the confident team that's on the field right now, and Toronto is looking to regain their confidence. Again, with the AUDL rules, there's an opportunity for substitutions as a result of this timeout call. So we'll see if they put some different legs and some different hands onto the field to secure this point following the timeout.
And Evan may just simply have had a chat with him and said, let's enjoy yourselves out there, loosen up. They're just playing a little tight, they just need to let their natural abilities shine through here. I'm talking about the Toronto Rush, if they play a little looser, I think that they'll do just fine.
They start off in a horizontal offense to get an easy throw up through the middle, looking downfield. Again, with the horizontal setup. Work across laterally to Adrian Yearwood. Yearwood looks up through the middle. At about midfield here, three handlers back for Toronto. Able to work in through the middle. Looking downfield, not marked. Throw up to Mark Lloyd, just beyond midfield. Over to Adrian Yearwood, looking deep to the end zone, but it's not there. Decides to be a little bit more conservative, but works over top to Mark Lloyd. Looking into the end zone about 5 yards out. Pushes through. Oh, beautiful inside-out backhand to the back corner. Mark Lloyd, I guess he's okay, Robin.
I think he's okay. What an excellent step around he did on that backhand, right around the mark. There is not much one can do to defend against that. This is just excellent ability. Yeah, that's just a demonstration of Mark Lloyd's ability right there. And as a leader on the team, to make a play like that, it just sends an exclamation mark. Let's go.
It's a great connection for a point, and that puts the lead to 3. That's Toronto 9, trailing Montreal's 12 here with 3:32 to go in the second quarter. Disc goes up. Montreal working from about middle of their end. Disc gets to the middle, reset to Cabot. Cabot works across to Castano, and he's looking downfield. Makes the pass to St. Jean, looks deeper. Tolley's there and gets the defensive catch. Toronto able to turn it quickly the other way with a bit of a fast break to get a couple passes off. Tolley's working from the sideline and goes deep. Caught for a point. Remy works for that pretty hard for that to get down for that point, and a great throw by Tolley to be able to get it down the sideline to Remy.
Yeah, Remy Ojo rolls that in nicely. He's guaranteed tough cutter into the end zone. Hard to keep up with. There we see him putting it down and slamming that disc, saying, "Let's go." And we're going to see the pass again from another angle. Excellent pass by Tolley Vasilyev. But what I noticed about that started that all out was Montreal having possession of the disc, moving it well among their handlers down the field, and their midfield cutter just deciding to make a throw that should not be made. You've got Tolley, who may appear to be a smaller player. He has all the ability to play solid defense.
I think it's the hallmark of a young team with a lot of energy, Robin. They want to keep the disc moving and want to maintain the momentum that they have, but maybe need to put it back into their handlers' hands to secure the offense. And got a little excited and decided to just push it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's it. You're going to expect those sorts of mistakes. In fact, I've been very impressed by how little we have seen of those sorts of mental errors.
It's true. Toronto pulls out of bounds, and Montreal Royal starting from the center of the field. Eric Dion with the disc, looking downfield, sees the cutback and makes the pass. Next pass goes up deep to Eric Saint-Amand, contesting the catch in the end zone. And he scores the point for Montreal. Puts them back up now, 13-10. A 3-point lead for Montreal with 2:48 to go in this first half.
Well, Montreal wants to take this to half with a lead. So they're going to do all they can. The Rush will score, on many of their offensive opportunities. The Montreal team just needs to make sure that they score on theirs, and they do the best to keep the disc out of the Rush's hands.
Montreal seems to be scoring, Eric Saint-Amand in particular, quite a few of these, but we're seeing a few of these set plays where they seem to come out, they run their offense, and Toronto is not picking it up right away. They're able to get away with these fairly open cuts. Eric Saint-Amand, though, as the disc floated, the catch was contested, was fairly wide open going deep there, and I wouldn't have expected that. I expect from the Toronto Rush tight defensive play. Montreal playing defense now against Toronto, and they're showing again that zone with a wall and a chaser. See if they can put the Toronto offense off their game.
Yeah, I think they're trying to make Toronto work the disc a little bit here, throw a number of passes, maybe force a mistake, and I think we'll see them go into a man-on-man shortly.
And they've pushed them back to their end zone line, Robin. And they're working from there. It's Adrian Yearwood looking back across for the dump. And they're patiently working through this. I'm seeing a few looks like they may be going to man shortly, but right now they're sticking with the zone.
We've got two Rush players downfield that are trying to pull the zone, stretch the zone, and now it is happening through throws up the middle.
And Sachin with the disc. They're about to midfield, but they're working back across the width of the field. And we've seen Montreal now move out of a zone into a man defensive coverage. Mark Lloyd with the disc. Centers back to Adrian Yearwood. Adrian Yearwood looking downfield, but instead is able to reset it. Cam Harris looking downfield for Mark Lloyd, and it's uncontested catch in the back corner. A great run by Mark Lloyd, and I'd say an even better throw from Cam Harris to put Mark Lloyd in a position to catch that uncontested in the back of the end zone.
That was a fantastic upwind point. Upwind throw to Mark Lloyd, who makes a great catch over his head. Those are not easy to make, and also has to be very careful with his feet. He is looking where he is, has to take a look at how much space he has left before he pulls that in.
It's home field advantage, Robin.
Yeah.
You know that color. You look down, you see the blue, and you know, you got at least 2 steps before you get out of bounds. You can pull it in.
Look at that great flick downfield into the wind to the corner. And as I said earlier in this game, we will see lots of connections between Cam Harris and Mark Lloyd.
A minute and a half left in the first half of play between the Toronto Rush and Montreal Royal. It's 11 for Toronto to 13 for Montreal.
So let's look for Montreal here to play a careful, contained offense with a minute and a half left in this half.
I'd say that they want to maintain possession and try to burn this clock as much as possible. They're going to keep playing the short pass game as long as it continues to work for them. They work it up with 2 passes to the middle of the field. Then Charles St. Jean pushes it upfield. Back across the field to Daig. Looking downfield, decides not to go. Goes for an intermediate pass to Eric Saint-Amand. From about midfield, Eric Saint-Amand looks deep to the end zone. And that's Yolande Cabot wide open in the end zone for the catch for Montreal. And they only took 30 seconds off the clock for that point, Robin.
Yeah, they did. They decided to go for that because that's a great connection. Toronto's having a tough time containing Eric Saint-Amand. And then we have a very difficult speedy guy going deep at that stage with Yolande. A great point for Montreal at that stage.
I think that's what we were told early on, that the guy that's going to be striking deep, the guy that's going to be hard to keep up with for Montreal is Yolande Cabot, and he's living up to that. Few points so far for Yolande. And in that case, he outran everybody to get to that end zone. And a great pass put up by Eric Saint-Amand to make it look easy for him. But he worked hard to get down there. Montreal pulling the disc downwind to Toronto. And Mark Lloyd's going to catch that and start the Toronto offense. Centers the disc. Back to Mark Lloyd. They're content to work that 3 or 4 man weave with the handlers and make short passes.
Well, Montreal is going back to their zone. It's been working well for them. We've got a timeout call here for Sachin Reyna. A little bit of frustration.
45 seconds left on the clock in this half. This is an important point, down 3 points right now. I think they're going to have a chat about it.
Yeah, and they do need to have sort of one eye on the clock here as they move it up the field. And maybe chat about how they want to move their offense in that circumstance.
I don't often see Toronto come out of these timeout situations on offense with set plays, to go to the end zone. I think they tend more to just reset their offense and make sure that they've got the hands in the right place and they know how to react if, again, Montreal shows that zone defense to them. So that they feel confident going downfield. The zone defense, as Montreal's been showing it, has put the Toronto offense a bit off their game occasionally. So good that they take a moment to think about this and to expect it coming in. Toronto sets up with this horizontal offense. And let's see what they run from here, coming back into the game with about 45 seconds left on the clock in the half.
Well, I noticed that they've just switched. The handler with the disc is now Cam Harris. A double team on Cam Harris, but Sachin Reyna moved out of the handler position there.
And that's what the advantage the timeout gives them as well. Toronto with the disc, looking downfield, up through the middle to Mark Lloyd. Mark Lloyd looking deep, holding the disc with no mark. Now works through the middle. And they reset the disc to Adrian Yearwood, but he drops. It's about midfield, and that's a turnover for Montreal. There's 14 seconds left on the clock, and they may be looking for a quick point here, down to under 10 seconds, and they put a double team on the Montreal thrower. Throw goes up to the end zone, and there's a big crowd down there. It's caught by Montreal with no time left on the clock.
Well, what action! This is great. Rush puts the double team on, which is to contain the deep strike.
And yet the throw gets out, and Gabriel Monfette comes down with that in the end zone.
I think he may be the shortest guy amongst all those ones that were gathered there trying to pull that in, but he just reads the overthrow. Goes over everyone. He takes the trailing edge.
Yeah, big cheer for the guy who's 5'8".
Let's hear it for them.
That's an incredible play with no time left on the clock that disc goes up, and they're able to capitalize. And that puts them up 4 points. That's 15-11 going into halftime here at Varsity Stadium. Montreal and Toronto are going to take a much-deserved break from the sun here at Varsity Stadium. And again, at the half, it's Montreal 15, Toronto 11.
Hi everyone, I'm here with Mike, the coach of the Montreal Royal, who lead the Toronto Rush 15-11. A really good half.
Yeah, definitely. We come out here to have a good game. We focus on it's the end of season for us. We are not making the series. We focus on having intensity and create something that we didn't show to the Rush since the beginning of the season. We played 3 games against them, always push. And today we decide not to push, to have a bit of free mark for our player so that their game plan is not good for us. So.
That's really good, and it's been very impressive so far. What can you do in the second half? Because the Rush are going to come out and try and change things, probably take a couple more deep shots. What are you guys going to do to try and counteract that?
Rush always come out of the half with their best player. It will be 2 power line in a row, I'm pretty sure about it. So we didn't play zone. So I don't know if it's broadcast live, but we're going to play zone in order to just kill their momentum because they will come out really strong.
The zones have been working. I've seen you guys have thrown it both upwind and downwind. Is the idea just to clog up the middle and to make sure that the Rush don't have any easy throws?
But it's something that we practice a lot this year, is that having a zone is just the simple X that you place on the field. Player has to react where the opponent is. And what I've worked is that opponents are only 2 handlers and everyone is cutting downfield. So what we do is the zone is spread. And if there are 4 handlers, the zone is tight. So that in order, we always put, it's kind of not a man, but almost a man because the zone is reacting. So that's why it works.
It works really, really well, as we've seen in the first half. Just one more question. This is the last game for the Montreal Royal. Thoughts on the first season?
Really hard to adjust to the AUDL. We had 3 games in 6 weeks. Then after that, we only have game. So not a lot of practices. Was hard for us, and our beginning of the season, our inexperience cost us a lot for the end of the season. So hopefully we're building for next year and have a bunch of guys coming back next year.
That's really great. Thank you very much. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
I make a lot of jokes. I actually try to bring part of it is that I like making jokes, but part of it's that I do see sometimes the newer people, the rookies, like they can get really amped up and they can get really nervous. On the field, I try to be like veteran and I try to lead on the field and I try to do that. But in the locker room, off the field, we have our coaches. We have Lloyd who does the most talking in terms of motivating our players and everything like that. And I actually just try to bring I know sometimes Lloyd gets upset that I'll be making jokes in inappropriate times, but I actually try to gauge the mind of our team and try to lighten the mood when I think it's best. Maybe I'm wrong sometimes, but.
So the nickname that they gave me is Bomber or Bomb Squad because in my first year at Queen's University, I tried out for the Queen's Ultimate team. Being new to Ultimate, they told me that I needed to bring a white and a dark shirt to practice. My only dark shirt that I had left was from an Army surplus store, and it was a black cotton t-shirt and it said Bomb Squad in yellow block letters. And not knowing my name, was kind of an unknown at the time, they just called me Bomb Squad, just what was written on the shirt, and it kind of stuck, so it's been shortened to Bomber ever since, and that's what everyone calls me.
I think they need to try to find a way to get into our heads. I think that that's the problem though, is that we have a really good head game. We are always level, we don't get down on each other or ourselves, and I think that speaks to us having been a team for such a long time. As I said, even though the Rush has only been here for 2 years, a lot of us have played together for 8+ years. So we have a really, really good system for getting each other up, getting ourselves up, making sure that we're not getting down on anybody, and that our mental game is there. So I think if teams are going to be able to take us down, it's going to be through our heads, and that's a pretty tough challenge.
Welcome back. This is the Toronto Rush playing the Montreal Royal in Varsity Stadium in Toronto, and we're about to begin the second half of play. So far, an exciting half that we've witnessed with the Montreal Royal coming out really hard, and they've got a 4-point lead going into the second half. It's 15-11 for Montreal. Robin, what have you seen in the first half, and what do you expect to see in the second half?
Well, I think the first half we've seen uncharacteristic drops and throwaways by Rush for one, but what I really am impressed by is the poise we've seen from Montreal, and a number of the players on this team have not played perhaps at the level as a lot of the players on the Rush team, but they are showing great maturity, and that's the reason why they're ahead at this moment.
They're in this and they're ready to play, and they got a 4-point lead to work with going into the second half. Montreal pulls to Toronto to get the second half started, and Adrian Yearwood's going to field that for the Rush. They're showing that zone defense again that they demonstrated in the first half to begin this second half.
Go with what works. The Rush is just stretching both sides of the field now, though, to stretch out that zone.
I'm sure they talked about it during the half in the locker room, and they look confident as they work through that to score a point. They look very confident, not rattled at all by that zone anymore. It's 15-12 now for the Montreal Royal over the Rush. I'm not sure if the wind's shifted at all, but the Rush looking to pull here now, going upwind to the Royal.
We'll see what the Royal is able to bring in this second half now in terms of their chilly offense.
Ooh, it's a tough foul there, Phil Watanabe on Gus Castellano, and there's a call made. These guys are professionals, though, and Gus shakes it off. It looked like he was clutching his shoulder, but it looked like his non-throwing shoulder. And he advances the disc with the ref's help to 10 yards forward. Phil Watanabe marking him. Gus looks downfield and throwaway behind Eric Saint-Amand. And Tolley picks up the disc for the Rush, looking downfield. Only got half the field to work with on offense here. Cam Harris looking downfield, goes wide, completes the pass. Contact is called on that catch, and the Rush are able to advance the disc. Back in play, looking to reset to Lindquist, and they're successful. Lindquist looking downfield, but he resets. Tolley from the end zone line into the end zone to Lindquist for the point. Tolley helps him out with the spike.
Yeah, and so there we have the tables turned. We had a throwaway by the Royal behind Eric Saint-Amand to give up possession, and a straightforward score for Rush at that stage. Totally straightforward into Lindquist.
Crowd's trying to get them back into it, but the Rush are doing a pretty good job on their own. This is a 2-point game, 15-13. Royal over the Rush right now. Rush pull the disc to the Royal, who field it close to their own end zone line and work up through the middle. St. Jean on the far side looking downfield. 3 handlers back for the Royal. On the far sideline, Royal decide to reset to the middle. Big bid by the Rush, but Montreal retains possession. Royal continuing to work it down the far sideline and pushing to the end zone right now. Great defense played by the Rush, and they get the turnover. Start to work their offense from their own goal line, going downwind. Tough catch there by Trevor Henry. Another tough catch by Trevor Henry in the middle of the field.
And the Rush were fortunate there. That was an overthrow that Trevor Henry managed to chase down.
And a timeout is called by the Rush.
Let's see if we can pick up what the coaches have to say to both teams at this stage. I think Evan Phillips identifies this as an opportunity to turn the tables and catch up a bit on the score. Well, Coach Evan Phillips didn't say anything there. That was Mark Lloyd who decided to say a few words to the team, perhaps emphasize the importance of this point if the Rush can bring it to within one.
15-13 right now, Montreal over Toronto. Rush with the disc with a vertical stack offense set up. Jeff Lindquist looking downfield with the disc on the far side. Resets to Cam Harris. They work back across the field. Mark Lloyd lurking in the back, but Jeff Lindquist finds him in the end zone for a point. And Toronto is able to bring it within one. Montreal 15, Toronto 14. Early in this second half.
Well, there we see Lindquist putting it to Mark Lloyd in the end zone, and we had a number of the strong players of Rush control that point, both from the handling position as well as Mark Lloyd with a great cut yet again into the end zone to take that down.
Confidence is back. Rush have their defensive setup on the field, and they're looking to find a way to tie this game. Incredible bid there by the Rush, but Montreal retains possession. Working to the far side of the field to Eric Saint-Amand. There's a call, and that's a turnover. I think it was a contact call on Gus Castano as he threw that disc.
I believe it might have been a travel call, actually.
Travel call.
Automatic turnover.
Welcome to the AUDL. Toronto's got a short field to work with here and looking to tie this game. Vertical stack in the end zone. Open side throw. And it's caught for a point. That's a tie game, folks. 15-all. Rush and Royal.
Jonathan Martin pulling that excellent throw in, and it's all tied up.
A little bobble, but caught.
Yeah, just keeping it interesting. Perhaps the difference now is that Rush are catching their bobbles.
$15-all at Varsity Stadium between the Rush and the Royal. We're back to a tie, and this is the first time since the beginning of the game, Robin, that we've been all squared up.
Right, now maybe we'll see if Montreal can maintain its lead.
We've got an injury on the field. Just as that pull was made, Cam Harris on the ground and clutching, looks like his right leg.
It's unclear whether it's his knee or whether he's cramping up the way he's holding his toe.
We're going to get a stoppage in play here as they take a look at Cam on the field and see what's going on and see if they can work this out and get him off the field. Let's see if we can see what happened here. I think he pulled the disc. I think he was the one who was pulling that disc. I'm not sure if he got his cleat tied up in the turf there that may have twisted his knee somehow. But he's working off the field under his own power, so that's good to see. He went down right after that pull. And it looks on the field like they are going to re-pull to start that point over again.
Yeah, he went down, as you said, immediately on that pull. The whistle went. So I think that is the right call to give Montreal an opportunity to receive the pull and get the play in action right away rather than being forced to play from a static position.
Rusher set to pull. Tim Sang picks up the disc, and he's looking deep right away. That catch is contested and caught, in fact, by the Rush. They get a turnover on that. Work to the middle. Working toward the middle. Mark Lloyd to Tolley. Back to Mark Lloyd. The throw turnover around midfield. Tim Sang, victim of some contact, is able to advance the disc 10 yards. He's working from the near sideline downfield with a short field right now. Works across and looking to the end zone. Good effort near the back of the end zone, but he ran out of real estate. It's a turnover, and back it's Toronto's disc from their own end zone line.
It was Antoine Genet from the Royal there. I think if he'd looked down, he would have seen he had a bit more space to chase that down. He did not go up for it.
Yeah, he may have gone up a bit early on that one. Mark Lloyd with the disc for the Rush. Looks deep downfield, puts it up. Give chase, but nobody is close enough to that disc to make a real effort at the catch. It's a turnover to Montreal's favor. 15 all here in the third quarter. Montreal working from the front of their own end zone. It's a call on the field.
It's a pick call, I think I heard.
And that pass goes back to the thrower. Working now from inside their own end zone as a result of that pick call. Deep throw down the line. And not caught by Gru. That's a turnover in Toronto's favor.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for the Royal. That was an excellent put down the sideline in a trapped situation, and Jonathan Martin was beat on that throw. It was just not, it should have been brought in by the Royal.
Turnover there as Toronto tried to reset. Easy offense for Montreal on the fast break, and Tim Sang catches in the end zone. with an emphatic spike to follow. Montreal is back up 16-15.
Great energy out of Tim Sang there, bringing the disc down originally and then making a hard cut to the sideline. And a emphatic spike to send the message that they're not about to roll over.
I suppose if you're going to make the 5-hour drive from Montreal to Toronto, might as well play a full game of Ultimate. These guys are not going to roll over in the second half.
Well, we heard Tim during the interview earlier, and their position is this is their last game of the season. You know, what's the point of leaving anything off the field?
Royal pull to the rush, and Thompson McKnight working from the middle of the field. Out to Cam Harris. Looks like he's doing better following that injury concern. Rush striking deep. And turned over.
Eric Saint-Amand taking up the space, coming down with that.
Royale working back the other way, about midfield now. Cabot looking to reset the disc. To Daig. Eric Saint-Amand looks deep to the end zone. Going up.
And Chuck Cantone reads the overthrow.
First option doesn't work. Somebody's there to clean it up, and it's Chuck Cantone. (17-15) Royale over the rush right now. Well, you can see that the first receiver, the primary receiver, really drew the two defenders to him. And all three of those players seem to misjudge the disc. And who's left? Chuck Cantone with an uncontested catch behind them.
And once again, Royal has pulled away to a 2-point lead.
Rusher looking to reestablish the confidence of their offense here. Two handlers back. They work through to Jeff Lindquist. That's a turnover in Montreal's favor. That was thrown behind Tolley. Jean-Louis Champagne now with the disc, trying to work off the sideline, deep into the count. A timeout is called. Montreal calls a timeout.
That's late in the stall.
Before that throw, late in the stall count, a wily call from the coach. Let's go down to Raheel in the stands.
Hey, I'm here with a young fan. What's your name?
James.
James, do you play?
Yes, I do.
Do you ever want to play on the Rush?
Yes, I would like to.
Who's your favorite player?
Cam.
So, you say you play. Where are you playing right now?
With Tuck.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back up to you guys.
Tuck is the Toronto Ultimate Club.
And looks like we're working on the next generation of Toronto Rush players.
Well, that's fantastic. The Toronto Ultimate Club has an excellent program, youth Frisbee program now, I believe starting from age 8. And we're going to see the development of the sport accelerate exponentially with kids of that age starting to pick it up.
I think this is an entertaining, good fun. This is a great product that the AUDL puts on the field. And why wouldn't these kids be excited about playing? More kids than ever, I think, are going to get into this in Montreal, in Toronto, across the country, across the U.S. as well. This is fun, and look, they have real life ultimate heroes to look up to now.
Cam Harris, you know, who came through the juniors program in Toronto as well. I think maybe 22, 23 now. Now look at him. He's being idolized by a young player. It's wonderful.
We're about to get back underway. We were able to, through that timeout, they were able to switch the handler on the disc. They work it off the sideline. And then strike deep. Looking for Eric Saint-Amand. And he's caught in the end zone, which puts the Royal up 18-15 over the Rush.
Eric Saint-Amand is posing a problem for the Rush. He is getting open on his cuts, it's seemingly at ease. So they're going to have to try and sort him out.
What I saw on that play was a combination of hard work from Eric Saint-Amand and a misread from the Toronto defender, who went up early thinking that they could get a hand on that disc. But Eric instead just kept on running. Comes down with a point.
As well, thrown.
After tying this game up early in the second half, Toronto now finds themselves down 3 points, 18-15, and looking to find a way to get back into this game with Montreal.
We're seeing more of the zone from the Royal. It seems to be working well for them. It's slowing down the offense as well for Toronto, which is in the Royals' favor.
Lindquist now with the disc, works back to the middle of the field to Tolley. Around midfield, rush work to Jeff Lindquist.
Number 11 for the Royal, Charles Berthoud, was caught there with pushing on the back of Mark Lloyd.
Montreal disc working from the front of their own end zone. Looks like they must have been deep in the count because they threw up a prayer, and it works to a turnover in Toronto's favor. The rush worked back the other way, but that's a missed throw to Lloyd in the end zone, and it's a turnover to Montreal. Royale working from the front of their own end zone. They got the full field to work with.
The direction of the wind has changed now. It's going sideways across field instead of up and down.
A massive throw from that corner downfield for the Royale, and they are working about 20 yards outside of the Rush end zone. Double team comes from the Rush. They're able to push through. 2 quick passes, and that's a point for the Royale.
Patience, excellent patience again as Charles Berthoud brings that disc in. But we've seen controlled, careful handling here from the Royale, which is allowing them to maintain this lead.
Massive throw, 3/4 of the field. And those 2 quick throws inside to get the point. The double team, which is sort of a unique animal in the AUDL, the allowance of that double teaming of the thrower, seemed to be ineffective in that case.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of emphasis on the double team as being something that could be advantageous. I rarely see that it is. It tends to be advantageous when it's put on by surprise or on a sideline trap. But most of these players are quite capable of getting a disc around a double team.
Rush working to get back into this. Royale working to try to extend their now 4-point lead. Adrian Yearwood from the center of the field. He gets it back from Cam Harris.
Eric St. Amand once again making himself known out there.
The veteran presence. Royale looking for an opportunity here to work downfield and to go up by 5 points in the second half against the Rush. Eric St. Amand throws deep. It's a backhand. Rush converge on D and take that away. It's a turnover in the Rush's favor.
Jonathan Martin is down on the field.
Looks like he's clutching either his knee or his ankle.
See a lot of this in FIFA, but not so often in AUDL.
Let's see if he can see what happened in this replay. Two Rush defenders go up. He comes down awkwardly, it looks like on his left leg. He's making it off the field under his own power, but he is hopping on one leg.
Well, that would be a real blow to the Rush if Jonathan Martin is seriously injured, because he is a very important part of their defense.
Back in the play, it's a long backhand throw from Cam Harris to Mark Lloyd.
Is there a travel called?
But there is a travel called on the play. And it comes, Montreal brings it back.
It's a turnover. Charging hard downfield is Antoine Genet saying, I'm ready to start this play.
The refs have whistled and stopped the play again.
Timeout called.
It's timeout to the Royal. No, it's the end of the quarter. The end of the quarter right now. Montreal 4-point lead over Toronto.
That's why we saw the Royal player charging down the field to try and get a point completed before the clock ran out. That clock that.
Let's go down to Raheel and see what adjustments are going to be made in the fourth quarter. He's going to.
Not yet. I'm waiting for the coach.
Heading into the fourth quarter, Rush 15, Royale 19.
They both teams recognizing the importance of this last quarter. We have the Toronto Rush that are down by 4 points going into the last quarter. The undefeated Toronto Rush, should we point out.
In the Rush's favor, 4-point lead is not a comfortable position to be in when you are playing in Toronto against the Rush. In Montreal's favor, the Royale have all the momentum right now. Despite the fact that the game got tied up early in the second half, the Royale have really been starting to run away with this and now put themselves up by 4 points, 19-15, and they are looking confident.
Eric St. Amand, Timmy Sang, in particular, have been impressing me with their energy and their ability to get open and move the disc. This needs to be sorted out by the Rush if they want to maintain their record.
Let's go down to Rehill to see what's going on with the coach of the Rush.
I've got Coach Hasty here. Coach, what changes do you have to make in this fourth quarter to come out the win?
Well, I think we did better in that half, but they towards the end of that quarter, they got it. We're taking 1 point at a time and trying to turn the game around. We had a little momentum, and it got turned back against us with some good plays on their part, and we're just looking for good plays on our side as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Coach. Good luck.
Bye.
Rush is staying positive going into this fourth quarter, but they have a 4-point hole to climb out of. Royale with the disc, working on offense, going downwind, though the wind has shifted since the beginning of the game. Deep throw to Eric Saint-Amand, not completed.
Well defended by Andy Kubanek there. He was matched up against a tough player, and he did an excellent job preventing that catch.
Rush working back the other way. Lindquist with the disc. Downfield to Kubanek. Totally works to the open man Kubanek off that double team. Watanabe to Anatoly Vasiliev in the end zone for the Rush point. 16 for the Rush, 19 for the Royale.
Well, Coach Hasty there during the interview, emphasized that they're happy with the improvement over the last quarter. As we see the replay of Watanabe putting that disc into Vasiliev in the end zone for Rush. Speedy little player, difficult to cover.
And you're expecting him to make handler cuts, not to make the downfield cut, so he gets open going downfield into the end zone. Fools the defender. Smart cut.
Smart cut. And so back to Coach Hasty's comments, demonstrating that he's confident that the team seems to have rectified its issues of the first half, and they just need to play a good solid half here to pull it out. Royal, on the other hand, continue to make use of those strong players. Will be difficult to beat.
Deep throw from the Royal here. Mistimed. And that's a turnover in the end zone to the Rush. Jared Marin working out of front of his own end zone here for the Rush. Great diving catch by Tolley. Lindquist looking to reset.
Vasiliev doing all he can to keep this offense going.
But I think he's going to take an injury substitution coming out of that catch. It's a solid catch, but he didn't come down clean, and he needs to take an injury substitution. Mark Lloyd coming in for Anatoly Vasiliev.
I don't think he has anything too serious from an injury standpoint, but he may have just knocked the wind out of himself on those two plays.
Mark Lloyd up for a massive grab. Resets to Lindquist. Lindquist looking to the end zone. It's high, and it's a turnover to Montreal. Royale now working have to work the length of the field. They reset to Gustavo Castano. Champagne with the disc, looking down the line. He throws across the field instead. Incredible throw.
That was a fantastic throw. That completely was against the force and opened up for an easy end zone cut. Well, we're at...
Let's take a look at that throw one more time here, Robin. That backhand high and across his body to the break four side, and Chuck Cantone catches that point. Uncontested.
Well, you can't contest it because you're expecting the force to be held, and so the defender is on the other side, playing the other side of that the man in the end zone, and so a break force throw like that just opens him up. I'm noticing here we're at 9 minutes and 30 seconds, and we have a 4-point lead by Montreal. I think Toronto is going to start having to think about their record soon.
It's tough to get back into a confident position when you're down 4 points with 9 minutes left to go in the game. Toronto starting on offense here now. Sachin Reyna with the disc. They have to reestablish themselves right now. And Montreal showing that zone. And continuing to put Toronto off their usual offensive game. Tolley with a great hammer across the field. That really broke open the offensive play against the zone. Easy catch in the end zone, but it's dropped by Toronto. Turnover to Montreal.
Well, Emon Pinto wide open for that. Will not be happy with that, of course.
Cue up another unforced error. And Montreal responds with an unforced error of their own. Tim Sang slides a bit on the turf. That disc turns over to the rush.
So we have Vasilyev back on the field for rush.
That's another drop.
This is uncharacteristic. We've used that word a few times today.
And I know that we've talked about the swirling wind a little bit, especially as the sun's going down right now. But this is out of control in terms of unforced errors and easy catches turning into drops and turnovers for the rush.
By players who are quite capable of catching everything. Cam Harris does not often make those kind of drops.
Montreal continuing their short pass, patient offense on the far side of the field. But high in the count, they throw one away, going laterally.
There's great downfield defense there by Rush, forcing late style count, desperate pass.
Adrian Yearwood looking on a short field, back to the middle. Yearwood to Thompson McKnight for the point. Great work on a short field following an excellent defensive stand. Royale 20, Rush 17. Let's take a look at that again. Yearwood and McKnight just play a two-man game there in the corner. And with that burst of speed, he's able to score that point against Montreal. Let's go down to Raheel.
I'm here with a couple of young fans. Who are you guys cheering for?
Montreal.
Who are your favorite players?
Jérôme Boucher.
Have you guys watched Montreal before?
No, this is our first time.
Are you happy with how they're playing?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Back up to you guys.
Jérôme Boucher has his own fan base here, and they do it in stereo.
They should be happy. Royale up 20-17 over the Rush right now with just under 7 minutes to play in this game. Royale on offense working up through the middle of the field. Gus Castano with the disc, centers back, dumps to Eric Saint-Amand. Tries to lateral over to Gus again, but that throw is out of his reach. It's dropped. Turnover to Toronto. Lindquist now with the disc at the center of the field. excellent bid by Eric, but Rush maintain the possession, and they throw to the end zone. Remy Ojo with the point in the back of the end zone.
He makes sure he gets both hands firmly on that disc. You sense that the Rush are gaining in confidence despite being down.
They're running out of time to gain confidence. They've got to be confident to clear a 2-point deficit right now. And that was a confident catch by Remy Ojo, who was lurking in the back of the field, waiting for the opportunity to strike, and he got it there.
Yeah, I don't see a sense of urgency yet out of Rush, but let's keep an eye on this as the time clicks down. This is not about who wins this game so much as preserving their undefeated record and playing at the top of their game. And for Montreal, this is all about an upset.
The Rush want bragging rights for an undefeated season. The Rush want bragging rights for going undefeated against their rival in the Royal. Royal looking downfield, deep in the count. Again, great coverage downfield leads to a turnover. Rush with the disc, working about 30 yards outside of the Royal end zone. Mark Lloyd was looking for a call there, but he got nothing, and instead he throws the disc away. Royale working on the fast break in the other way. Cabot with the disc, dumps to Castano. At midfield, the Royale looking. Work down the sideline. That disc is low and it's turned over, not caught. Rush immediately work back the other way. Excellent break force throw. Leads to an opportunity for Lindquist, but great D from the Royale in the own end zone to save a point and to turn this back around.
Jarrett Marin just puts that disc a little bit behind the receiver, and then we see excellent D from the Royal to shut that down.
There's a contact foul call on the field. Royale are allowed to advance the disc 10 yards. Champagne resets to the middle. Royale go to the far side. Ooh. Major collision there with the Rush player aggressively making a bid at that disc on defense. Slides in underneath the Royale player, and it's no fun to get your legs taken out from you when you're in the air. That was Mark Lloyd with the bid for the Rush, and that was Cabot with the catch. Despite the effort by Mark Lloyd, Cabot did make the catch, and it's Cabot that's down on the ground right now for the Royale.
Can you feel the level? Oh, here we see the replay. Well, it's like quite a painful hit onto the ground by Cabot. Mark Lloyd goes right through him, takes his legs out.
From the spot of that foul, the referee is advancing the disc 15, 20 yards, looking like a perhaps even called a flagrant foul.
You notice can you sense the change in intensity in the last minute or two in this game, Russell?
Just about 3.5 minutes left in this game, and they're putting everything on the line. Royale looking to the end zone, but that throw's out of reach. It's turned over to the Rush, working from their own end zone line. Contact called on that catch by Tolley. He's able to advance the disc 10 yards and continues the rush offense.
Look to see more contact calls in this game as
late in the count, he tries to get that one away, but throws a turnover. Royale disc with a short field to work with. Incredible D by Mark Lloyd on that little pass back to Castano. He breaks up the play and gets a much-needed turnover for the Rush. 2.5 minutes left to go in this game. 2-point difference. High pass goes up by the Rush. Knocked down by the Royale. That's a turnover. Royale working down the field on offense. Timeout called by the Royale. 2:15 remaining in this fourth quarter. Now or never.
Yeah, well, I could sense a change in the intensity in the last 2 or 3 minutes. It has been an intense game throughout, but Rush, tasting the potential defeat, have really cranked it up.
They don't know what defeat tastes like, Robin. This is an undefeated team, and perhaps they're not sure what to do in this situation. Down 2 points with just over 2 minutes to go. You can tell that it's getting serious when you see Mark Lloyd horizontal on offense, on defense, with just about every throw.
Yeah, and Mark Lloyd is quite capable of changing a game, but the Cabot still down on the field. Looks like he may actually be getting splinted there, so I hope that his injury is not too serious. Look for the Rush to see their most experienced club players out on the field for these last 2 minutes.
The benefit of the Rush get out of this timeout is they get to put the lineup that they want. Looking at defense right now on the field, try and get that turnover. And we've got Phil Watanabe marking Gustavo Castano. Let's see what happens. Great grab by the Royale. And a second great grab by the Royale. Right on the end zone line. Dump back. But that pass is broken up by Phil Watanabe.
Well, we're being treated to an excellent display of Frisbee today.
As you said, Robin, the intensity is really cranked up here now in the last 2 minutes of the game. 2-point difference in the match. Toronto 18, Montreal 20. Nobody wants to go home disappointed after this one. Everybody's leaving it all on the field to try to win this game.
Well, Toronto needs to think about the clock here. They have 2 points they need to score to bring this game even. And they are running out of time. We are down to 1:10.
And Montreal is doing a very effective job at contesting every catch. At 1:05 remaining in the game, Toronto calls a timeout.
And now we'll be looking for them, I think, to switch up their offensive line.
I think that they, as you said earlier, they need to think about the clock. They get the opportunity to switch up their line to put their offensive players on. And I know I said I didn't see often that they came out with a set play, but I'm pretty sure you're going to come out with a set play with the clock where it is right now. They need to score quickly, decisively to get a chance to tie this game up.
Yeah, I mean, look for Mark Lloyd in the end zone. That's such an obvious statement, it's almost not worth making, but he is the man you want to send down there. We'll see who Royale mark up against Mark Lloyd, or whether they go into their zone. It looks like they're set for a man defense. Horizontal split stack. Thompson McKnight with the disc.
Mark Lloyd looking deep right away. Disc goes up. Here's the jump ball. Royale come down with the defensive play to interrupt that Mark Lloyd catch in the end zone.
Well, when I said perhaps it's a little too obvious, my statement, I think Royale also knew that was going to Mark Lloyd on their set play.
Tim Sang with the disc for the Royale. Only 37 seconds left in this game. With a 2-point difference, Royale need to hold on to the disc and continue to work it down the field, but that's all they need to do in order to secure the win.
And to secure the first loss for Rush in franchise history.
But they turn over, so the Rush have the disc with a chance to score. 18 seconds left in the game. May not be enough time to make 2 points, but they may get one. And a hammer from Jeff Lindquist to Mark Lloyd gets them one. 11 seconds on the clock.
And a reminder that in the AUDL, the clock does not start up again until the receiving team has possession of the disc after the pull. So there is an opportunity for Rush to put on a strong defense early, get possession of that disc and score. But it is going to have, they're going to have to do that very quickly. 11 seconds can be eaten up without much difficulty.
Coach Evan is out on the field giving instructions to the lineup for the Rush, but he's going to have to dial up a miracle for them to get a stuff and a score in 11 seconds. Montreal is thinking about how to maintain possession and play spoiler. 11 seconds gets them a victory here in Toronto.
You wonder whether they want to throw that disc out of bounds.
And they roll one out of bounds.
That gives them a chance to set up their defense rather than put the disc and pull it on field and give Montreal a live opportunity. And we have a sideline trap.
Under 10 seconds to go. Royale maintained possession despite the high throw.
Well, we're seeing it for the first time. The Rush have lost to the Montreal Royal.
Royale victory 20-19 here at Varsity Stadium in Toronto. Let's go down to, we're going to go down as soon as we can to get the reaction from the Royale. But this is a historic victory for them. And as Tim Sang said earlier, this is a cherry on top of their season. Come into Toronto and play spoiler and beat the formerly undefeated Toronto Rush. Final score here is 20-19 in favor of the Royale.
Eugenie Bouchard is the wonder of Canada, but Royale right now is getting the accolades.
Well done. Well fought, Gabe. Good luck. Good luck,
As we said, these teams really know each other. They are giving each other some hearty congratulations with the handshakes in the center of the field right now.
Well, the Royal had the advantage. This was their last game of the season. They're not in the playoffs. They gave them energy from the start of the game. We saw it right from the very start with the first turnover break, and then a turnover to score.
And you hate to see injuries in this game, but it's great to see the sportsmanship of the whole Rush team going over to shake hands with Cabot, who is still sitting on the sideline right now. And Mark Lloyd, in fact, speaking to him directly, and you can tell he feels terrible about this situation.
Well, good on Mark for going over there and talking to Cabot.
It's an all-around great performance from the Royale from the beginning right through to the end of the game.
Yeah, that was an entertaining game of Ultimate Frisbee. I think that the fans were treated to an excellent display from both teams, and just a great demonstration of heart from the Royale in particular.
Yeah, the intensity throughout that game was very high, and it was an entertaining game to watch. Let's go down to Raheel for a reaction from the Royale.
Thank you very much. I've got Mike and Caro, the coaches of the Montreal Royale, now the beaters of the previously undefeated Toronto Rush. How does it feel?
Pretty good.
Awesome. Incredible. Yeah. It was the objective, so it's perfect.
So this definitely puts, as Tim Sang said earlier, a cherry on the top of the season for the Montreal Royale. What did you guys do?
First, like I spoke to you at the halftime, I thought my O-line would be good, and they were just not good, not bad. So they came up 4 points in a row. It was equal, but we still had the disc, so we just stopped calling O-lines. There was player on the field, and player who got called was having the destiny of the team. And after that, they score once, and it bring all the energy together. And then we call guys who were supposed to be O-line, we call them on D, so that they could put all the frustration about have problems, on defense, and it worked. Yeah.
Sometimes, as you said, we overthink this game and try calling O-lines and D-lines, but we can trust everyone on your team to play either offense or defense. Looking forward, you guys unfortunately drew a bad draw. We'll miss the playoffs, but looking towards next year, building off this win, do you guys think you can challenge for the title?
For sure.
First, we need practice. We need to get together. We need to get together. We need to find out what was the problem this year. And we played a game last week against Washington at home, and no energy on the field. So how can you have a game home and no energy, and game away with some? This was a problem for us. So hopefully it will be good, but we still got a lot of work to do.
That's really good to hear. One last question: who are your predictions to win the cup?
I favor Toronto. Yeah. Hopefully it stay in the East. Hopefully it stay with the Canadian team. Why not? And
maybe Toronto, but they need to stop dropping the disc.
That's for sure. Well, if Toronto wins, then you guys have a win over the champions. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Great game.
The final score here in Toronto: Royale 20, Rush 19. An intense game, especially through that fourth quarter. But the Royale really showed that they were here to play. They played from beginning to end, came out hot at the beginning with a 3-point lead, and they managed to carry that intensity and that momentum through a lead into in the first half and continue. Despite some missteps in the second half, they pulled away and they held on to that victory right through to the end. And it is not only a spoiler, but a historic victory, because this was an undefeated team here in Toronto before, and they are no longer undefeated, Robin.
That's right, and to that we take an end to a great season for the Montreal Royal. They're very happy about the intensity they showed in this game. They also recognize there was a lot of drops from Rush.
Room for improvement, but for us and for the fans, an intense, entertaining game, so thank you for that. Final score here in Toronto: Royale 20, Rush 19. Victory for the first-year franchise Montreal Royale over the formerly undefeated Toronto Rush. Thank you.